Eric, what do you feel like was the difference for the breakthrough in the second half?
I think we did a lot of what we did in the first half with added quality in the final third. I felt like we contained what is on its day. It's a good team that can really hurt you. They've got some very technical players, and I felt like first and foremost it was going to be a game in which we needed to make sure that we had full control without the ball, and I felt like we had that. And where we were lacking the final pass, the edge, the real precision around the top of the box in the first half, in the second half we had that, and we looked, I would say, for 35 minutes or so of that second half, a really threatening team in all senses, and it really needed a complete performance from us today. I was adamant that we were going to improve across all phases of the game relative to the San Diego game. We were going to take the best of that performance and we were going to build on it, and I think you saw that after the first 5, 6, 7 minutes. I think we became the dominant team, and I think that stayed the case up until probably minute 90, I would say, and then there's the inevitable push from them. There's the inevitable sense of chaos, I suppose, that so many subs at one point breeds. But I think it was a really good performance, and I would say one of the biggest results that we've had this year, because the stage of the season that we're in, the absences that we've got, I suppose the scars of last summer and everything that goes with a really messy period in the MLS. I think for us to have won today, to follow up the San Diego performance with that was really big, and I think it keeps us right in the race at the top.
If that game had ended after 60 minutes, what would you have said about that performance?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be peaks and troughs in these games. It's the nature of a league that is by design fairly equal, and I felt like the middle part of our performance was really strong, and there was some really nice moments too. I was really pleased for Bong. You'll have seen the family support that he's got today for the first time, I think, since he's been here. So I think I didn't want to say it prior to the game, but you almost felt like he was going to have a big night, and you could sense how the energy really changed as a consequence of some of the things that Bongi did, and he's that type of player. So I was really pleased for him. I was pleased for the team. I was pleased for the staff, because we've been crying out for that type of performance, and I can't dress it up any other way. I feel like we are scarred by last June and how difficult it was without the players that are away on international duty. So I think there is an element of relief that goes with that performance as well. But I'd mentioned to the players before that it was a case of us taking responsibility for this period of the season and make sure that we get through it in as good a shape as possible. And I think to a man they've done that really well.
Was there anything you said at halftime in the locker room to your team that really gave them an edge in that second half?
Yeah, we tightened up on some details in terms of how we pressed the opposition, and I felt like there were a couple of problems that came out in the first half that we hadn't quite anticipated. We needed to make some adjustments, and we did that really well. And I think that gave us the foothold as we entered the first stage of the second half. And I think when we pressed well, we got the ball back quickly. We were able to use it very well on the transition, and obviously the players, they sparked the crowd, and I think that's something that we talk about a lot here. The players have that responsibility to make it feel like it did in the second half, which is it can be electric in those moments, particularly when you score 2 goals in quick succession, and you've got a player like Bongi in that moment with the energy and the momentum that he had, and that's the players' responsibility. And I've talked about that a lot, that they have to give the crowd something, the crowd has to give them something, and you felt it was a different stadium in the second half, and that was the players' responsibility.
What did you feel like Bongi's season was before tonight?
This will almost lead us down almost a lazy narrative around Bongi, that when he plays at wing back he can't contribute in front of goal. Where in actual fact I think he's developed into a really good wing back. I think certainly one of the better ones in the league. Someone who is very complete. But of course, when he plays closer to the front, he has an opportunity to be closer to goal. Of course, with that comes a far greater likelihood of him being in the positions that he was in today. But still, for me, Bongi's strength is his versatility. It's his athleticism, and for sure over the course of the season we'll see him in both positions. But I'll also say that's been needed from Bongi. He on his day is one of the stronger contributors at the top of the pitch. We've seen it sometimes, we haven't seen it all the time, and I think the first half and the difference between the first half and the second half probably captures that. I think in the first half he turned the ball over relatively cheaply and didn't look nearly the threat that he did in the second half, and obviously that's something for him to grab by the scruff of the neck and make sure he takes forward.
You've had sort of a long league-mandated break last week. Did that end up helping more or almost hurting just from the rustiness?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, and also every team is in that position. So I don't think it's of course it's not unique to us, but we were very conscious of that. I think the 2 training sessions over the weekend, they come at a time at which you really need to strike the balance between training hard enough that reflects that you're playing a game on Wednesday, but also taking in consideration the break and the travel, and obviously with the nature of our group, players disappear on 8, 9, 10-hour flights, and you have to take that into consideration. So I think all that taken in mind with the absences, I think we've done really well tonight, and I'm really pleased that we were able to demonstrate that in spite of some of those circumstances that we have found difficult previously, we are able to compete and put our best foot forward at the top of the table.
What do you think about Wessels' outing tonight, especially compared to his last one out against San Diego?
And that's something I probably should have mentioned earlier. I felt like he did really, really well, and it's not easy to follow up what happened against San Diego with a performance that was that assured. I think you saw very mixed levels of distribution with the ball against San Diego tonight. I thought he was excellent, really, really good. He struck the balance well between when he found the first pass short and linked with Nico or Boxy, and he used his range of passing really, really well, and that's something that's one of the qualities I knew he had, and I was disappointed for him almost that against San Diego he wasn't able to show it at its best level, and what we saw tonight was what I was hoping to see against San Diego, and I know in there's a very good goalkeeper with some really good attributes, and I think when you consider the circumstances, the depth of experience, the age, what happened against San Diego was relatively likely to happen, I would say, and then the determining factor for him was going to be whether he was going to follow it up tonight with a real sense of assuredness, and you have to show some real personality in a situation like that, and he's done that. So I'm really pleased for him, and I think he's comfortably put to bed what happened at San Diego for sure.
Did you give any thought at the end of leaving Bongi on so he could maybe get his hat trick in front of the family?
Yeah, I think it hit the stage of the game where we're obviously very conscious of playing in a couple of days' time and the travel to New York. So I stripped any sentiment away from that one.
Any more for Coach?
Good. Thanks guys. Cheers.